welcome to Food for Thought, a series of shows produced by university students from around the world. I'm Shay Hayes from Ryerson University, Toronto.
I am Noah Yakubov, along with Nativ Kadman-Kozlov.
We're from Tau University in Israel.
I'm Gigi Tong with Yvonne Chung at Hong Kong Baptist University in Hong Kong. This is one of those shows that we have copies of which can be found on our website and social media.
And I'm Abby Lord from Leeds Trinity University in the UK. Our show today will talk about sustainable eating and a focus on meat and dairy alternatives.
Our first story takes place here in Hong Kong. Processed vegetarian products are becoming increasingly popular in Hong Kong nowadays. There are new shops and restaurants that sell and serve a variety of these plant-based meals, but are they as good as what the manufacturer claims? We will not have to serve.
There are burgers, dumplings, and spaghetti bolognese. This is the kitchen of Green Common, and every dish here is plant-based. Apart from restaurants, Green Common also provide Omniport products in the retail stores.
通常都係太太咯，係啊，太太啊，或者有陣時係啲後生咯，即係而家好多始終注重環保啊，同埋健康啊。其他新豬肉產品其實基本上咧，我哋而家有啲點心嗰啲咧，點心啊或者叮叮飯嗰啲咧，炒粉麵嗰啲都係有新豬肉嘅。
They recently launched the world's first vegan version of Spam. The company claimed the green version of luncheon meat is far healthier than its animal alternative.
新餐肉嘅話，佢冇硝酸鹽，冇膽固醇，咁會係健康啲，因為你罐頭嗰啲有硝酸鹽啊，有防腐劑啊，有成。
This vegetarian food business started in 2012. The so-called Omniport is featured in Chinese as well as Western cuisine all over Hong Kong. The Chinese name literally means new pork. This is Lawful Market, the place where people shop for meat and vegetables here every day in Hong Kong. This is the flagship stall of Green Common. Apart from Omniport, it also sells all kinds of vegetarian products. Alternative stalls like this one is relatively new to the neighborhood markets. Right next to the Green Common is a traditional butcher stall, quite the opposite of the vegetarian option. Becoming vegetarian is by far not a fad exclusive to the young in Hong Kong. Nguyen Yong doesn't eat meat for at least 2 days every month.
一來我就係初一十五食齋，我就咁睇下整下做，因為佢唔係肉啊嘛，咁我咪愛嚟整下啲餸睇得唔得啊？出咗冇幾耐，睇廣告，咁有呢隻肉，咁我咪買嚟試下咯。梅菜蒸啦、矮瓜啦、炸啦，都樣樣，即係你可以當豬肉咁樣煮乜都得㗎，你可以放湯都得㗎。
On her dinner table tonight, Omniport balls, a traditional fish casserole, and yes, actual pork for the rest of her family. Chloe Lee, a nutritionist, advises anyone thinking of giving up meat altogether should make sure it is suitable for their health. They should consider a variety of high-protein foods as meat substitutes, such as eggs, tofu, and beans. She warns that processed vegetarian products like Omniport may be high in saturated fats and sodium. The main ingredient in fake meat, coconut oil, could be harmful to our cardiovascular system. In the long run, it can cause blood vessel blockage or stroke. So the advice is to eat everything in moderation.
Omniport seems to be a good meat substitute with high protein content for vegetarian or people who giving up meat. I've tried Omniport oat pork once before in Green Common, but it's not widely available in Hong Kong West Market. Only particular vegetarian shop offering plant-based meat.
Plant-based meat is popular here, but I haven't tried what they have in Hong Kong. But there's a plant-based meat called Beyond Meat, and they sell a lot of our fast food restaurants here.
Much vegetarian option over here, especially plant-based. One of my favourite is Linda McCartney's shredded duck. Fantastic in a stir fry. Nora and Nativ, how about you?
I really like the Impossible Burger, but unfortunately it's not available in Israel. We only have the Beyond Meat, which I don't really enjoy that one, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah.
I think I actually don't like the artificial options that much because I like more natural stuff. Like I like more peas and stuff like that. Even tofu is a little bit too artificial for me. That's just me.
Moving on, Israel is considered one of the most vegan countries in the world. In fact, over 5% of Israelis claim themselves to be vegan. Actually, Israel recently pocketed one of its new nicknames, Vegan Nation.
On top of that, Israel's reputation for its impressive startup culture cannot go unnoticed. In proportion to its population, Israel has the largest number of startups in the world.
So our reporters found one particular startup that combines both of these worlds. It focuses on their passion on veganism and sustainability, and they created a brand called Remilk, a new and unique approach to non-dairy products. So over to Shai Bauminger with the story.
Our dairy is actually identical to the dairy that cows are making. It has the same taste, the same texture, but also the same functionality, so you can actually formulate it into every imaginable dairy product.
Tell us about Remilk.
So Remilk was co-founded in 2019 by myself and Dr. Ori Kochavi, really with the dream of being the solution for the dairy industry. We believe that this is a time for a new type of technology in order to produce our food.
What are the stages of creating a Remilk product?
So in a very high level way, you should imagine the process in the same way that people are making beer. We're using the same mechanism of microorganisms to convert carbon sources like sugar, but instead of ending up with alcohol, we're ending up with milk. We are copying the DNA of the cow. We're not literally taking it from the cow, but we are synthesizing the recipe in the lab. And then we take this recipe, insert it into our microorganism. And then we have a producing cell that can convert sugar into milk inside huge fermentation vessels.
Will Remilk products be considered vegan-friendly?
Of course, the Vegan Association in Israel certified us as a vegan product.
Is it healthier?
Because we build our milk bottom up, we can decide which elements should we include in the final product. We like to say that we have all the upsides, all the nutritionally upsides ingredients, but we don't have all the downsides of milk.
Do you think it could completely replace the ordinary traditional milk?
Essentially, it's a question of price. If you compare nutritional aspects, sustainability aspects, or ethical aspects, we are definitely superior on those aspects. But I believe that once we outperform traditional dairy also by cost, this is a game changer for the entire industry, because then it becomes a no-brainer for the dairy companies that formulate raw milk to use our products. The future of food is animal-free, and Remilk will take a significant part in this space.
Aviv, thank you for this fascinating talk, and I wish you a very good luck.
Thank you very much. It was my pleasure.
Now, Nativ, how is it different from oat or soy milk or other non-dairy milks?
Well, as they said in the article, it's made of a different process. Like, it's actually made from the DNA of a cow. So first of all, that's a big way in which it's different. Also, it's supposed to taste like nearly exactly like milk. Like, it's supposed to taste exactly the same, and they have even better nutrients and stuff like that in it. And we're just waiting for it to reach the supermarkets for now. But we'll see when it gets there.
While many people are giving up dairy and other animal products for sustainability or health purposes, in Hong Kong, Buddhism offers some different reasons for sticking a plant-based diet, not mentioned necessary.
It is lunchtime at the University of Hong Kong, but no burgers or pork chops here, just tofu, gluten, and vegetables.
Sometimes I feel like eating a lot of vegetables will make me feel much happier, like during days. And because now I'm trying to lose my weight, so this restaurant is quite a good option for me to try to lose my weight.
Giving up meat all at once may be a challenge, which is why Green Monday started 9 years ago. The idea? To give up meat in your meal once a week.
We don't need to go from like meat eating to vegan and vegetarian in one step. We could do something easier first. So why don't we start with 1 day a week or 1 meal per day?
At least 800 local schools have signed up to offer vegetarian meals on their catering menu on Mondays. Bu Chen-zhong, an associate professor in Buddhism at the University of Hong Kong, calls this a skillful means to transition to vegetarianism.
It's a kind of a expedient method for those who cannot immediately adopt vegetarian food. They still like the taste of meat or flesh or anything like that. So they make a kind of a imitation meat for them as a kind of a transition period to adopt a proper vegetarian food.
Chini Nunnery is a Buddhist retreat in Hong Kong. Amid the tranquility of the pagodas and gardens is a vegetarian restaurant.
Visitors to Chini Nunnery may avoid meat for religious reasons. Not eating meat is central to the Buddhist belief of do no harm and not damaging life for food. But from the moral perspective, many young vegetarians nowadays avoid meat as a way of saving the world.
According to a research by UK climate change website Carbon Brief in 2020, 1 kilogram of beef creates 60 kilograms of carbon emission.
If we look at how we raise our livestock, it literally uses a lot of the land. We have to feed them. We have to feed them with food. We have to feed them with water. And when it converts into animal proteins, we consume that.
The UN Climate Change Conference held in November this year hopes to set a target of reducing 30% of methane emissions by 2030. Right now, 14.5% of the Earth's carbon output comes from animal farming, according to Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. So, cutting down on meat will be good for the soul, if you are Buddhist, as well as good for the planet.
Samuel Lee,
Lok Man Yun, the young reporter, Hong Kong Baptist University.
We've been talking a lot about plant-based diets. Our next story is about how these diets are becoming more and more popular here in the United Kingdom. While some people have fully committed to becoming a vegan, and a growing number of people have started participating in Veganuary, which is an annual challenge here in the UK. Each January, encouraging people to practice a vegan diet for the month. Within the past year, the number of vegans in the UK alone rose 40%. Our report is by Dennis Morton from Leeds University in the UK.
Being vegan or vegetarian in the UK has gone from a niche to a nationwide phenomenon over the last few decades, with new restaurants and food brands popping up all over Britain. While the trend can be seen all over Europe, the demand for plant-based products in the UK alone increased by 987% in 2018 and is still on the rise in 2021. One who just changed their diet to vegan is Tane Morton.
I've been vegan for about 2 to 3 months. The reason I went vegan is due to environmental reasons. The big impact that eating meat and things like dairy have on the environment. At the beginning it is quite difficult. You've got to find substitutes which you actually enjoy and that aren't too expensive. You've got to look around a lot, and a lot of people's meals are mainly based around meat. So you've got to try and find a way of making that vegetables instead.
Today, most meat-based products are available as plant-based substitutes in the grocery stores in the UK, but the prices for these products are still higher and sometimes even twice as expensive as their meat counterparts. Experts, however, say that even though the fall meat market has expanded over the last few years, there are plenty of vegan products that are cheaper and more accessible for people on a budget.
I think one of the things that the Vegan Society really promotes, as happy as we are with the idea that there are vegan versions of things and the faux meats and all that stuff, I think what we would probably suggest to someone who really wants to go vegan but money is an issue is following more of a whole foods plant-based diet. So that's your chickpeas, your kidney beans, your quinoa, your rice, your things like that. I know that the Co-op pledged to make their vegan range exactly the same, basically in line with the version of it. So I think the Co-op sausages are now, the vegan sausages are now exactly the same price as if you were to buy the meat ones. So we need supermarkets to kind of come up with initiatives like that and really push it, because they're the ones that ultimately set the price. So we need them to get on board as well.
Dennis Morton for Leeds Trinity University, United Kingdom.
Such a fantastic exercise to promote veganism. I'm neither a vegetarian nor a vegan, and there is lack of this kind of activity in Hong Kong, but it is a great motivation for people to give their first try on this vegan diet. Are any of you vegans or vegetarians?
I was vegan for 2 years, but I recently decided to change my diet. But I discovered so much more milk options, and now all I do is put oat milk in my coffee, and I definitely learned how to eat more sustainably.
Well, I'm only vegetarian, but I'll definitely try and do a vegan diet. A lot of people over here take part in veganuary as a way to raise money for charity.
I'm also a vegetarian. I've been vegetarian for 2 years. I started from ideological reasons, also just because it felt good. And yeah, so far I really like it. It really changed my life for the better. What about you, Noah?
I was vegetarian for 4 years, but last year I made the switch to be vegan for ideological reasons as well. Yeah, and it also just makes me feel healthier and better, and I just think it's a good way to live, and I try to educate as much as I can.
That about sums it up for this episode for Food for Thought.
Make sure to watch all of our other episodes from this series where we talk about unique and unusual foods from many countries around the world and discuss the problems that we have with food waste.
If you haven't tried any plant-based foods yet, then I definitely recommend it. There's so many options out there.
Thanks again. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.